later.
And now, a very important message, brought to you by us. Things you shouldn't hack. Google, somebody's personal computer, somebody's email, somebody's bank account, a car, Donald Trump's Twitter, and Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook.
Screw that, I'm gonna hack all those things.
12 seconds later.
Why do I have no money?
And the global damage from ransomware, malware that is inserted illegally in a computer or mobile device that disables the computer or mobile device's functions, systems, everything, until the owner pays the hacker so that they can regain control and access to their mobile device or computer. And the damage costs are predicted to exceed $5 billion this year.
So remember,
Don't hack, be hacked.
Well, that didn't go the way I thought it would. My apologies about the late intro. There's a lot of things going on today. Apparently none of them's right, so let me do my intro and we'll start talking. Good Cambridge, how's it going tonight? So there we go, there's my intro. So, the number's down on the screen if you want to call in and say hi and tell me how much you absolutely hate the Bruins now because they lost. And apparently it wasn't like a big loss, it was one of those losses that everybody absolutely hates. Now you can hate me as much as you want, but I don't watch the Bruins, I'm a Predators fan. I've been a Predators fan since I used to live outside Nashville and I used to work for concessions for the Predators and worked right there at the Bridgestone Stadium, I think it's called. Usually I've got it like right on my mind. But anyway, there's been a lot going on. Sir Sanders Huckabee has resigned as press secretary. The original was Sean Spicer, and then he got rid of Sean Spicer, and now he got rid of Huckabee, Sanders Huckabee. So, here's the question. What god-awful thing is he going to replace Sir Sanders Huckabee with? Because that's usually the thing that happens in the Trump administration. is the fact that he gets somebody a lot worse than the last person. And that being said, here's my argument about powerful women. And I know that a lot of people are going to get offended by this, and I'll often point this out. Because when going to elect somebody, I don't look at the gender or the race or the color or the ethnicity or any of this other stuff or nationality. I look and see how the person votes. That's the way I roll. You know, and there was this big argument that rolled out after the 2016 election about powerful women. And yet we are getting powerful women in office and not the kind that should be voting the way they should be voting. We got Marsha Blackburn down in Tennessee that are going to sell off women's rights just as fast as she can. And probably lock up all the minorities for all the wrong reasons and make it so hard for one person to, you know, pay off student loans and the debt and actually make a living wage that's ridiculous. That's my argument behind, you know, women and powerful women. There are some good powerful women, there are some bad powerful women, there are some good powerful men, there are some bad powerful men. You know, before we make the argument about gender, let's make the argument about how they vote. You know, let's make the argument about how they, you know, about how they view the world. You know, that's my argument behind the powerful women thing. And everybody that made the argument of powerful women in office, you got a powerful woman in office. You know, and she's going to, you know, make sure that we're a lot more poorer. We got to work a lot more harder. Education's going to be a lot more harder to get. You know, community centers, public libraries, and all these wonderful places are going to be closed. And it's all going to be sold off to corporations. You know, women have the same ability as guys to do evil, nasty, horrible things. You know, people with darker or lighter skin still have the same horrible ability to do, you know, horrible, mean, nasty things to their own people. That's my argument that I'm throwing out there. I put that on Facebook all the time and I always end up getting, like, horrible responses for it. You know, I'm for Joe Biden. Joe Biden's my guy that I'm going in with for 2020. You know, he's been there, he's done that, he's a vet. You know, he lost his first wife and his daughter to a truck driver, to a tractor-trailer accident that happened when he first got elected to the Senate. And God bless him, he's just, you know, the rock of the Democratic Party. That's why I'm pushing for him. And a lot of people are coming out because they don't like Joe Biden because of his voting record. I've caught him out on that. And before I get any deeper, I want to get a shout out to Mac McGovern, who's the mayor of Cambridge. He invited me out before I did the show today, but I couldn't make it because of work, to help him campaign. And if you have the ability to go out and help Mac campaign, he's a wonderful guy, he's a good mayor, he's doing a lot for the city of Cambridge. You know, go out, you know, talk to him. He's actually invited me out for a pint after the show tonight, but I can't make it. I'm really exhausted. I had a hellacious night last night. I had problems sleeping. And then, you know, just one thing I added to another, and it just added up to a bad day for everybody. I hardly ever have a bad day, but when it does, it catches up to me. You know, it's one of those things about freedom and going down and going up slopes and hills and mountains and stuff like that. And having that said, now that I went down my mountain, it's time for me to climb back up. Just the way it is for our country to climb back up, and that's the reason why we need to start deciding quickly, because that's the one thing about the Democratic Party we're having problems with, and we seem to be attacking ourselves. Roy Rogers, you know, the singing cowboy, once said that the Democrats' worst enemy are Democrats, you know. I'm not a part of, you know, any organized political party. I am a Democrat. You know, and we need to figure it out. We need to figure it out fast, because Donald Trump's already is mobilized. He's already ready. He has his people on the ground working 24/7 to spread the message. And everything's working against us, including education. You know, I was down in Tennessee 2nd District for 2017-18, you know, running, and it's really hard to speak to somebody who's willfully ignorant. And when I mean willfully ignorant, they're not willing to get educated on anything. One of my favorite authors of one time, one of my favorite journalists is Hunter S. Thompson, who was born in Louisville, Kentucky, which is the hometown of my father. I have a lot of family members in Louisville, Kentucky, and around the Kentucky area. And anyway, Hunter S. Thompson said, in dark times, stupidity is the greatest sin. And that's the thing about it. It is. And with all this knowledge and all this education that comes at us at fingertips, it really becoming more and more of a sin to be willfully ignorant. And you can't testify in court or whatever that you didn't know that 20 people were screaming, that you should have known about this, that, and another thing, We live in a civilized modern society to where, education is abundant to the point to where, you see it on the news. You see it on the 24-hour news cycle all the time. Given the fact that you're open up to judge, how accurate the media is. I'm not saying that you should trust CNN or Fox News or the Young Turks. I used to be a huge fan of the Young Turks, but I've started turning against them. I'm still not that big of a fan of CNN. I don't know if I'll ever be that big of a fan of Fox News. But honestly, as long as you get the basics there is what I've always been taught. You get the basic nuts and bolts of what's going on, and then you're able to form your own facts and opinions by the knowledge you already have. And that's what we need to start doing in this modern civilized society, in this modern America. And a lot of times I feel as though, excuse me, the Biden camp or other people are giving out half-truths out there. And half-truths is no way to really, campaign. To me, a half-truth is kind of like a lie, but, you're kind of, you cut somebody off at the feet without letting them know the whole facts and knowledge. When I started attending school back at Southeast Community College in southeastern Kentucky on the Millsboro, Kentucky campus, I understood, I had it grained into me that, that now I was an adult. And being an adult, I had to get all the facts I could in order to form a good, educated opinion or a judgment call. I don't know. I don't like using judgment call, but that's what it is, And that's what we're trying to do, Donald Trump and his people don't, form a judgment call, or they don't have all the facts. They do, easy, slick tactics of, scapegoating, bring them in somebody else, Let's build a wall, the moon is part of Mars, which it is not, it's a part of Earth, And that's how my apologies, that's one of those ways of classifying planets. If they have a moon, that's the reason why Pluto is a dwarf planet, because it doesn't have a moon that orbits the actual planet. And it's actually a lot smaller than other planets. And our planet is supposed to be one of the smallest one, minus Pluto, since it's actually on the list of being a planet. Thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson, for messing up my childhood. Anyway, having that said, like I said, half-truths are dangerous. They really are. And scapegoating is dangerous, This good scapegoating to me is when, you find something to talk about as a community in a way. I could kind of say the Red Sox, and everybody's got something either good or bad to say about the Red Sox. But when I start, point out somebody's various different religions or color skin or gender or whatever they want to identify as, then they start, that's when it becomes kind of a dangerous territory to go on, and it just is, and that's what we got ourselves into as a country. The problem is now is how do we get ourselves out of it, and have we been here before? Yes. Several times. We're like, what, 270 years old, something like that. We've been here before. We've had dark times as a country. We'll pull out of it. The best thing know is, is to find a way to pull out of it. Find a way to pull out of darkness. Find a way, find something good. I've advocated that on my show. Find something good about Donald Trump. There is a lot of good in the guy, believe it or not. What good is there in Donald Trump? Well, he's a patriot. He is an American patriot, believe it or not. That's one of the things that motivated him to run for president, was the fact that he loved his country. And he should love your country. There's nothing wrong with being a There's nothing wrong with nationalism. You can have, pride in America. There's a lot of good things about America. We're the land of the free, as long as we're willing to, put up with certain things. And you could sit there and make the argument about what freedom is. Well, I know what freedom isn't right now. What else is good about Donald Trump? He is persistent and he is determined. That wasn't his first rodeo. He's been running since 2001. He's been screaming about the wall in Mexico. The only problem is that nobody actually gave him an audience. And now that we got social media, we gave him an audience because we thought it was funny through memes. And we kind of, made fun of him and laughed at him, and he just fed off of that, which is called the theater effect. The theater effect is kind of like, audience feeds all, the actor feeds off the crowd feeds off the actors, and vice versa, and da-da-da. And that's what exactly happened. Everybody kind of, fed into it. So what do we do? What do we do as a country to get rid of Donald Trump? First of all, we try to find a way to ignore him and not really pay that much attention to him, because we have learned that he kind of, he gets stronger the more attention, the more tweets. And the more tweets he gets about that, how can we stop from feeding into it? Well, we can get more actively involved in a local community somehow. No matter what your local community is, no matter if you're traveling and you want to fellow travelers, that's your local community. Even if you're not like a legal resident there and you're just, passing by for the day, and that's not even your home state. Massachusetts is not my home state. I'm very quickly understanding that Boston is becoming like my adopted hometown. And as much as I love my hometown, the only problem with it is that there's 2,000 people there. 2,000 people. Most of them don't even have a GED. Most of them are trying to struggle to get a job. But the thing they blame it on is, the Mexicans. And I'm like, the Mexicans aren't the problem. The problem is that, you haven't got people looking out for you. The problem is that you vote people in office who are so willing to say that, God is going to provide. No. Maybe there is a higher power. Let's say for instance there is a higher power, There's only so much that higher power can do. And that is the truth. The higher power can only do so much that you're not willing to do yourself. You gotta provide for yourself. You gotta fight for yourself. You gotta educate yourself. At first, all begins with the self. If we get that through to some people, it'd be amazing. But, that's one of those, learning gaps we have in America. Before I go any further into this, I'll probably end up dropping the subject. I want to give a big shout out to Jon Stewart, who literally, has been harping on the same subject for the past, 7, 8, 9 years, which is no, wait a minute. It was 18 years since 9/11 happened, about the 9/11 the first responders who are absolutely suffering. From death and illnesses from some of the chemicals they breathed in as they rushed into the Twin Towers. And he kept on, trying to get this bill passed, and now that Congress is finally willing to listen to him because we got Democrats in there. You know, it's moving up, you know, and the thing is that Donald Trump hasn't, listened to the first responders of 9/11. No, has he tried passing something for him, And that's something else that should be brought up as far as the debate goes, is that when he got in office, he wasn't looking out for the first responders and the firefighters and the police officers or the coal miners or anybody else. He was looking out for Donald Trump. If I was on a debate stage and I was debating Donald Trump, that's exactly what I would tack on. If I was somebody going against Donald Trump, that's exactly what I would tack on. Was the fact that how much Donald Trump has been looking out for Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. I mean, it was just this past week he was trying to get dirt on his political opponents through a foreign power. If that, I mean, I understand that we'll probably never get him on treason or, impeach him because there's literally like a half a year left in his first term. But God have mercy, if that's not a red flag, what is? Senate that's literally controlled by the Republicans are, bending over backwards at what the House of Representatives used to be. Now the House of Representatives on uproar and screaming about impeachment. Maybe we'll win the Senate back. Maybe Democrats will win the Senate back finally. I kind of doubtful, given the fact that you have freaking states like the one I'm from in Tennessee, that whenever a Brewdog Democrat runs, they get all upset about it and start nitpicking every goddamn word he says. That's a huge problem that the Democratic Party has. Is that every time you utter a word or one against somebody that, has more people than you, people are willing to tear you apart. And I just don't get it. Why can't Democrats just support Democrats? Why do we have to turn into this political party of cannibals? It's insane. It's ridiculous. No matter how horrible, how cruel, or how much of a sexist fucking pig Donald Trump is, he can get his political party on his side. We could have freaking Mother Teresa run as a Democratic opponent in whatever state and as a Democrat, and the Democrats will pick her apart. And that's just the freaking truth. And that's something that's insane. I just don't get it, It's insanity. It's craziness, It's absolutely mind-boggling. Our country is a huge country. It's a gigantic country. Winston Churchill once said that America will get it wrong half a dozen times. But when we get it right, we get it right. And that's what we're going through right now. We're trying to get it right. We're trying to put the elements together. We're going through the darkness of like what we have a year and a half left in Donald Trump's administration. I was at Senator Ed Mercury's town hall right after Donald Trump got elected, and he literally had like a stop clock, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, about when the 2020 election was going to happen. And he was like, we'll get through it. We'll find a way to get through it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't worry about it. And so far, we are getting through it the best we can. We might be fucking crazy. We might end up with a few screws loose, but we are getting fucking through it, right? And that's what we are. We're going to be a fucking roar fed by the time we get through it, pardon my language. And that's what we need to do as a party, as the Democratic Party. We're going to get through it, but we're going to be a lot more harder than what we were. It took, 2 terms of Herbert Hoover driving us into the Great Depression until we got 4 terms of FDR. And Herbert Hoover was freaking shooting World War I vets out in the middle of D.C., because they wanted the veterans benefits. And all of a sudden, here comes freaking Roosevelt, a former prosecutor of the state of New York, the former governor of New York, who said, I propose a new deal. I propose a new deal to where, we have unemployment insurance, we have Social Security insurance. We make sure that, elderly get taken care of, the needs of everybody gets taken care of, needs of the worker get taken care of. Education will stay public and free. And that's one thing we got to realize is that, we have these public, places. We have public education. We have free education. This is what makes America free. This is what makes America great. These are things that the founding fathers argued about. They didn't argue about an invisible God. They was actually debating on the fact that if there was a God, they was arguing about the fact that, why is it that the basic person can't get basic education? Hell, Benjamin Franklin founded the first free public library down in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And there's a freaking monument to him finding it, And he was running away from here in Boston. His whole family is buried next to the Commons here in Boston. And he was running from Boston to Philadelphia because he was an indentured servant. And that's what we're doing right now is that, most of America, most of our country are indentured servants. We have debt piled up and we're trying to find a way to pay that debt off. However, I've got a few seconds left and I've incoherently rambled for like 30 minutes. And I'm going to figure out something and get my sanity back. But you all have a wonderful night and go Red Sox.